What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video. Coming to you guys today with yet another reaction video. Today's video will be how Dolph Ziggler almost became a main eventer. Now we can all agree, Dolph Ziggler is pretty much one of the workhorses in WWE right now, and this guy, in my personal opinion, should have been much more bigger than he is now. I think they've missed so many opportunities to make him a big star in the WWE. Like, he had all the potential in the world to become a main eventer and become a multi-time WWE champion. I personally feel he should have been a person that could have main evented pay-per-views, main evented a WrestleMania, but unfortunately those things just never planned out, and it just sucks because the guy should have been. And I think a lot of people can agree. So we're going to get into this video by SUPERKICK Studios, and he's going to explain and give his feedback on how Dolph Ziggler almost became a main eventer. Oh, this moment was crazy. This moment should have catapulted him all the way to the main event scene, because this guy had one of the best cash-ins in Money in the Bank history. I think people kind of usually put Seth in the category, or put him right in, put, Dolph behind Seth, because Seth cashed in at Mania. But I think when you think of Money in the Bank cash-ins, he should be in your top three, because this guy had one of the greatest cash-ins, and the crowd was really behind him, and they could have even made him a babyface. I think he was getting babyface reactions after that, and they just failed to capitalize on it.
This was his greatest night.
This is what I love, but you know what? Sometimes things you love don't always love you back.
Let's get into it, man.
Dolph Ziggler has been in the WWE for nearly 20 years, and in that time frame, he's been somewhat of a utility knife for the company, slotting in wherever they need him to. However, his career is defined by one word, and that's almost. Seems like every time he would do something of note, every time he was in a big storyline, or anytime he was ready to make that next step.
And that's the crazy thing. Like, that's what his career pretty much is gonna probably be summed up in, for like a lot of people, is like almost, or even what if. Like, what if he did this? What if he had this opportunity? What if he would have won this milestone, you know?
Into the upper echelon of WWE superstars, his momentum would be pulled from underneath him, where the company would hesitate to do anything of substance with him. I think a majority of wrestling fans would agree that Dolph Ziggler is one of those guys who's always showed up and put his best foot forward. He's one of the greatest sellers in the company's history, and as time has worn on, he's developed an ability on the mic that allows for his passion for pro wrestling to come to the forefront. He loves this, but as you'll see in this video, this hasn't always loved him back. Ziggler was signed to WWE Developmental in 2004 after the company saw him wrestle in college. He had been into wrestling since a very young age. In high school, he set the record for most pins held, and when he got to Kent State University, the record for most career wins.
I didn't know he set the record there. I know he went to Kent State, but I didn't know he set the record. That's interesting. The more you know.
W for a bit, and then made his debut in September of 2005 as Chavo Guerrero's personal caddy. Guerrero was going under the character of Kerwin White. Unfortunately, though, Eddie Guerrero passed away that same year and the character was dropped. Dolph Ziggler, being part of the act, was also scrapped and sent back to OVW, but he'd make his way back pretty quick. In 2006, he re-debuted as part of the Spirit Squad, where he went under the name of Nikki. The Spirit Squad was a group of male cheerleaders designed for comic relief. They were jobbers and very much so treated like that on WWE TV, though the group did get main event exposure when they shared the ring with DX, but it was over before we knew it, and Ziggler was right back where he started in developmental. As time passed and OVW turned into FCW, he refined everything about himself and made his re-debut in 2008 as Dolph Ziggler, a bleach blonde, overconfident, cocky yet charismatic stud who could also back things up in the ring. Early on, he was in mid-card rivalries that weren't anything of note, but he did get TV time on a consistent basis, so it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that management did have plans for him.
Yeah.
The same management that through the years would turn things messy for him, let's just say. In his early days, we got signs of something that would plague him throughout his career, and that's stop and start pushes. He feuded with Rey Mysterio and John Morrison, failing to win the Intercontinental Championship, but a turning point came for him in 2010 when he was paired up with Vicky Guerrero, who was his on-screen girlfriend. He won the Intercontinental.
This, I feel like where it kind of turned around for him, because he really wasn't doing too much. Like, yeah, he was competing in like against some much more known talent with Rey Mysterio and Kofi Kingston, things like that. But it really didn't go anywhere. It just, he would face them and he would lose. But when he paired himself and aligned himself with Vicky Guerrero, that really catapulted him to the next level. That really started to ramp things up for him, because he started to become more known, I feel like, in the fans' eyes, and he started to become champion. He became champion. I remember he became U.S. and Intercontinental champion. He was holding those titles while being with Vicky, so he was starting to rack up wins and be a mainstay in the mid-card title scene.
Championship and continued to feud with Kofi for a majority of the year. In early 2011, he was in a rivalry with Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship, where even though he lost the match at the Royal Rumble, he was awarded the world title when Edge was DQ'd for using the spear. So at this point, you could see that there was clearly something that the company saw in him. Otherwise, why would they put his name in the history books, even if it was just for a brief time? He lost the title the same night back to Edge, a step in the right direction for sure, but the feud with him didn't really go anywhere after that. Ziggler and Vicky on screen were moved to Raw after it had come out that Vicky and Dolph attacked Teddy Long. Keep in mind, we were only 4-ish years into his main roster run by this point. When he went to Raw, he won the US title, held it for 182 days in a reign, which wasn't anything memorable. He dropped it to Zack Ryder at the end of 2011 before moving into a rivalry with CM Punk. Punk was in the early days of his 434-day championship reign. Ziggler did pin him once during the rivalry, but he didn't go on to win the big one. However, fast forward to July of 2012, and Ziggler became Mr. Money in the Bank, earning himself a shot at the...
Even though he didn't win the WWE Championship, he was able to get himself going again by winning the Money in the Bank. And I think he was a lot of people's pick, including mine, to win that Money in the Bank contract, which would send him, I think, on back to SmackDown, I think, because I think this was a SmackDown Money in the Bank, and then for the world title, and then they had the Raw side, which is for the WWE Championship. I don't know. It started getting confusing around 2012, but I do think this was still for the SmackDown title. Comment down below, because I really want to know, was this still the SmackDown? Were you still able to cash in for the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown? Because I think they switched it, right? Didn't they switch it like in the same year where they started becoming a dual branded show or something like that? Comment down below.
The World Heavyweight Championship anytime he wanted. And there it was, the golden opportunity, the chance to propel him into that next level, win a world title, have a reign with it, and then see where he goes from there. Yeah. During his time as Mr. Money in the Bank, he feuded with Chris Jericho, basically telling him that he lost his touch, had a rivalry with Randy Orton and John Cena, who, as you guys know, are two of the biggest stars in the company's history. So, as you can see, he was allowed to mix things up with the top stars in the company. He was right there with them, and by virtue of that, had more exposure. Feuding with John Cena during this time, of course, you're not going to end up winning that. He did beat him at TLC, where his Money in the Bank was on the line. On screen, he moved away from Vicky Guerrero and instead had AJ as his love interest. WWE even gave him Big E as a heavy, so it looked like they were positioning him for success, and success after the cash-in as well. That brought us to the Raw after WrestleMania 29. Ziggler cashed in the Money in the Bank in one of the most popular cash-ins ever. The crowd was electric because, of course, it's the Raw after Mania. Cashed in on Del Rio, and there he was, the brand new World Heavyweight Champion.
And I think at this time, I feel like even before they eventually want to call it a double turn, it was already a double turn just because the fact that nobody was really buying into Del Rio being like a face. I feel like he was just more suited as a heel that people hated. And Dolph cashing in just automatically put him in the spotlight of being a babyface after that.
But as quickly as that moment came, he suffered a huge roadblock, a concussion that put him out of action for about a month. Ziggler got kicked in the head by Jack Swagger when he was going to pick up a ladder, resulting in him losing memory for 2 days. He came back after a month, and even though the audience was still on his side, upper brass
That sucked,
didn't seem
man.
to agree.
That really
After
just
returning
sucks.
to
Like,
action, Ziggler lost the title.
that really does suck. Like, you reach the top of the mountain, then you're in a segment, and then one of them people that's in the segment with you accidentally gives you a concussion. You can't even remember things for like a good 2 days, and then it's like you're pegged as injury prone after that, and you really don't get big things after that.
In his first defense to Alberto Del Rio, and he never won a world title again. That's it. That Payback 2013, they even did a double turn with Ziggler turning face, and this didn't really go anywhere. The rest of the year on screen, he lost his girl, he lost his heavy, and sadly, he lost his push, relegated right back to the mid-card. WWE didn't even give the guy a chance. They saw that he was injury prone, and they didn't even give him a successful pay-per-view defense to see if he could actually make some noise. They put an end to things before they could even start, and let's not act like the World Heavyweight Championship scene was anything special at the time. Ziggler could have for sure held it. Anyways, he spent the rest of the year in the mid-card, failing to win the US and Intercontinental Championship. Come year's end, forget main event matches, he wasn't even on the main card. He was losing to Fandango on the pre-show of TLC, where 1 year previous at that same event, he was wrestling the company's golden boy, continually falling down the pecking order, not a priority to the company by any means, and it looked like it was all but over. However, a moment presented itself. Opportunity came knocking, and it came at the end of 2014 when Ziggler was part of Team Cena at Survivor Series. See, the company had been running a storyline where John Cena and anyone who dared to align with him would get unfairly treated by the bosses. Cena assembled his team to take down the Authority, and
I'll be honest with you, when they had Dolph, even though it wasn't supposed to be him, it was supposed to be Roman, I do think when they had Dolph be the sole survivor of that old Team WWE versus Team Authority storyline and that match, that really should have catapulted him and rejuvenated his push as far as being a main eventer again. I feel like him putting the Authority out of business, people were erupting out of their seats fan-wise, including me, because I was watching at home, and I was very excited because I really was hoping that WWE was going to do something and potentially set him up for something big, even if it wasn't at Mania, but probably post-Mania. And it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen.
Ziggler, who didn't play much of a role going into the match, but when we got to Survivor Series, it became the breakout performance of a lifetime for him.
Yeah.
Everyone was eliminated for Team Cena except for Dolph Ziggler, who overcame a 3-on-1 deficit in a star-making performance. From his selling to his ability to make you buy into the match, he had proven that he could get fans invested with his work. Even though the large talking point on that night was Sting's WWE debut, Ziggler had risen up once again. Now, that was actually supposed to be Roman Reigns in Ziggler's spot, but he was injured. Dolph was obviously primed to do something and be a key player in the Authority story moving forward, but the story they instead told was Triple H and Stephanie coming back into power and the company kayfabe firing him, and yeah, that's literally about it. No relaunch, no big pay-per-view main event spot. He did win the Intercontinental Championship though and hold it for a small amount of time, but headed into WrestleMania 31, he was just another guy again. It's pretty unbelievable that they had it right there and they did nothing with the guy. It's also important to remember that this is a point in WWE's history where the company was fixated with pushing Roman Reigns and nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
Maybe Ziggler's big performance and his return at the same time is what caused that. I don't exactly know. Throughout 2015, Ziggler was toiling around in random matches, eventually getting involved in a feud with Rusev and Summer Rae in the summer, which wasn't very good. What ended up happening was WWE got pissed that Lana and Rusev, who had actually been dating in real life, revealed that they were engaged, so the storyline ended up being dropped. Earlier in the year, he was in a Kiss Me Arse match against Sheamus. I swear this guy actually might be the most unlucky WWE wrestler ever. Anytime things looked up for the guy, nothing. From here, he quite literally did nothing until 2016.
And then when they had him do that old match with Sheamus, ugh, that just gives me PTSD. That's a match I don't want to go back and see.
When the brand split happened, Ziggler was quickly given an opportunity to be in a prominent storyline when he became the #1 contender to the WWE
Yeah.
Championship. This wasn't some
When they had, I felt like they had another opportunity to do something at SummerSlam 2016. I did see the match. I wasn't there, but I watched it. I even have the DVD, so I can go back and watch it anytime, even if I wasn't on Peacock. Before Peacock, they actually had it on Peacock and whatnot. But the storyline was there, I believe. I do think the storyline was there. It's just the match. It just fell flat, in my opinion. It just I just don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is because we've seen them compete before and they had better matches, but their SummerSlam is probably like one of the worst that they've had, and I want to say that they could have done something with Dolph here and possibly could have given him the title, but at the same time, I don't think they could have because it's like they just had Dean Ambrose or John Moxley win the championship. So it's like you can't have him lose yet. So, and plus you had AJ, slowly going through the ranks and potentially wanting to go after that title after his feud with Cena. So,
hot storyline with a ton of fan investment, but a fresh challenger. Someone fans wanted to see in that position. No one really thought that he was going to win, but as always, he did his best to make people buy in. He lost at SummerSlam, and this loss was used in storyline where Miz targeted Ziggler for always coming up short. The two had an Intercontinental Championship match at Backlash 2016, which Ziggler lost after interference from Maurice. Dolph.
If you guys didn't see their match that they had at No Mercy, go watch it. If you're just a new wrestling fan or just haven't really been watching wrestling as of late and you're looking for a match that you should go watch The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler, No Mercy 2016 for the Intercontinental Championship. That match was a fire match. One of my favorite matches of 2016. My favorite match of 2016. They both killed it. The match main evented over the WWE Championship. The WWE Championship started the show, and the Intercontinental Championship ended the show. And when you have this match and the storytelling that went into this match, honestly, I thought it was going to be another situation where they could have put Dolph Ziggler back in the main event once he lost it again. He could have been, and they still didn't go anywhere with it.
Dolph wanted another title shot, but Miz refused, which led to Ziggler cutting a very passionate promo in which he put his career on the line. The storytelling and drama of that match being its key strength. The two doing a really good job at building the tension and engaging the crowd. A crowd that was fully behind Dolph Ziggler. He won that night, and for the third time, it seemed like there was another resurrection in Dolph Ziggler's career. Can you guess what happened? Yup. Literally nothing. He had proved that maybe he wasn't damaged goods. He dropped it back to The Miz on SmackDown after just 37 days. The company didn't give him a prolonged run. They didn't use it to propel him into a different role. They didn't let him run with it and showcase his in-ring talent. He's gone on record to say that he actually wanted to lose the match at Backlash so he could take some time away. However, as the title suggests, almost. In an alternate universe, he goes on a Seth Rollins-like IC Championship run, but that didn't happen for him. At this point, multiple opportunities to have him be something more. The thing with him was that the fan support was always there. His heart was always in it, and he could play whatever role you needed him to. Like the next year, when he started to blame the fans for not respecting him as much as he deserved. So his reaction to that was, okay, let me give them what they want, and he'd come out impersonating other WWE wrestlers, from John Cena to The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. The impersonations weren't received well, with many calling them some of the worst segments of the year. Don't think I'm telling you any tales by letting you know how much his career had stagnated up until this point. Lost, confused, a star that could have been. In that same year, he won the US Championship at Clash of Champions, and then the following SmackDown vacated it, telling the crowd that here is something to remember me by, teasing to leave the WWE. This was done to try to reboot his character, but it didn't. He returned at Royal Rumble 2018, and there was a lot of talk that...
Man, and when he left, and then I did hear rumors that he was possibly returning at the Rumble. Me personally, I thought they were going to even have him win the Rumble, because I think that would have been a cool way to kind of bring him back into the fold and possibly get him going for a world title. Because I feel like the story could have been there, and he didn't really last long once he came out at number 30.
That he might actually win it. If they wanted to repackage him, they should have done something different when he came back. He had the same entrance, the same ring gear. It was just the same Dolph Ziggler. In 2018, though, he did have high points. However, with Brock Lesnar in retreat with the Universal Championship, Raw needed something to carry it, and that was Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. When Drew McIntyre arrived on the scene, the two became a focal point on Raw. It was that Shawn Michaels and Diesel dynamic. Eventually, after winning the tag titles, they had a rivalry which surprisingly had no big blow-off, no big pay-per-view match. So you look at things and you go, okay, maybe something happens once, coincidence, maybe twice, okay, unlucky, 3 times, okay, maybe they had other plans. A tag team, and a big tag team, to have a breakup, and you're not even gonna run it on a B or C level show, seems kind of suspect, and honestly it seems really unlucky. He feuded with Kofi in 2019 for the WWE Championship, you know, the "it should have been me" promo. After that, he hasn't really done anything of note. He's been the guy that WWE throws in when they need a safe hand, whether it's a thrown together tag.
This might be a hot take, but honestly, if they would have pushed it better or held off in this feud, and if it wasn't Brock Lesnar, and I wish that didn't happen, I would have been okay with Dolph Ziggler being the one to take the title from Kofi Kingston.
Team or random mid-card matches, he seems like their guy to do just that. He's also received a co-sign from The Rock, who at one point responded to an Instagram post that WWE put up. It showed Dolph Ziggler with the WWE title, and he said, quote, "I'd co-sign this decision 100. Talented dude and always has had a spark in his presentations. He won the NXT Championship in 2022, which is so random, but I guess it makes sense with his career. It's a story of what if, and normally these are based on guys who fumble their careers, or guys who fail to find that same magic again, or people who get injured. But not in this case. In this case, the company had multiple opportunities to push him. They never gave the guy any consistency, and on multiple occasions he rebuilt himself. The earmarkings for success were there from a young age. The cash-in felt like he had the wrestling world at his fingertips, but right when he got on the cusp of something, WWE refused to allocate the time and effort into making him into something bigger. You can never say never, because you don't know when someone will get hot and all of a sudden factor into the plans, because we've seen that again and again. I think a lot of you guys have watched enough wrestling that you just don't know when someone will become a fan favorite and they'll want to push that guy. However, in Ziggler's case, it's all about what you do with them afterwards. And in his case, the misses have been injury. The misses have been WWE just not trusting him. And it's so strange. He's had a successful career, yes.
It really just comes down to WWE just keeps missing opportunities to do something with him. And it's just like, he has everything that you need in a main eventer. He has the promo skills. His in-ring work is there. He can draw a crowd. He can get people invested as a promo, even if he's a heel or face.
The dude's won a ton of titles. He's had his fair share of strong matches, and I genuinely believe he has the respect of a majority of wrestling fans. Just a constant workhorse who does whatever is asked of him. But in retrospect, you look at all the chances to make him into something, and they didn't. But you guys let me know, what went wrong for the guy? Do you think the guy should have been someone on the posters and on the marquee for the WWE?
Yes.
Was WWE right not to pull the trigger on him? Or was this just a bad judgment call by the company on multiple occasions? It's safe to say that Dolph...
Yeah. I do think it does come down to WWE. I understand that in a sense that they don't want to, push somebody that gets injury prone, because then they have to take the title off of them and then do all this. I can understand that, but if it's only happened one time, like, let bygones be bygones. If it continuously happens, and if it's like you keep putting your trust in them and then you keep getting hurt, then you could probably make a decision to where, yeah, we can't probably have it be main event team, maybe be in a tag team just so it be more beneficial to you. But in Dolph's case, he had so many opportunities to be WWE champion, to main event, to headline pay-per-views. He's definitely deserved to be on a lot of the WWE posters. The guy just screamed main eventer. His promos were there, the in-ring work, everything, the full package. And it's just WWE just kept missing opportunities to do something with him. And it's just, that a lot of fans can see right through that and can see that. But it sucks at the end of the day because the guy definitely deserved to be a main eventer. But like he said, we never could say never. We can always say, who knows? Maybe in the next few weeks he's putting a high profile storyline and he's going after that world heavyweight title, or when Roman drops it, they split those titles up, and then he has a feud with whoever's the WWE champion. He wins it, and stuff like that. So we can never say never in the world of wrestling. I think that's one thing that I have learned since being a wrestling fan. You can never say never. Anything can happen. Anything can be possible in the wrestling business. So, but yeah, that is the end of the video. Make sure you super kick that like button, Superman punch that post notification button, and spear that subscribe button. We're on the road to 700 subscribers. If you aren't subscribed, please go subscribe now. It's absolutely free. There's no catch, none of that. It definitely helps out in the long run because I am trying to potentially in the future have this as my main thing that I can focus on because I love doing content for you guys. I love doing this. Definitely hit that subscribe button. It's very helpful to me, and hit that like button. Also, comment, let me know your opinions about Dolph Ziggler almost becoming the main eventer. What are your opinions about Dolph Ziggler? What do you think went wrong with him? And stuff like that. I love having dialogue and engaging with you guys and stuff like that. But I appreciate you guys kicking with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.